Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and today we are going to discuss about the juvenile justice system. All the information in this presentation is in your textbook, Criminal Justice, Realities, and Challenges. So before we actually get started with the information, we have a set of learning objectives. Firstly, we are going to learn about the history of the juvenile system. And so throughout the years, the systems have upgraded in many ways, and it's important to take account of how it started and why it eventually changed, and even way before that, where the juvenile system didn't even exist. We are also going to learn about the facts about the juvenile crime rates and their own characteristics. Our modern court system has had some comparisons and some differences compared to when it first started. We are also going to learn about the difference between the process of a juvenile offender compared to an adult offender and how their corrections are made specifically for children. The history of the juvenile system goes all the way back to the late 1800s. Young offenders were treated the same as adults when it came down to their criminal offenses and their expected responsibilities. Many children of the age 4 to 5 were expected to work and support their families. They had the same sanctions, incarcerations, and execution process as adults, no matter what crime they committed. The term infancy defense is a defense where a child under the age of 7 years old cannot be prosecuted because they are seen too young to understand their crime. However, a child of the age 7 years old to 14 years old has the possibility of being charged if the court has proof that the child had knowledge of their actions. Back then, many families were torn apart because of their economical problems. Many parents left their children unsupervised, and their children were left to starve, beg, and steal in order to survive. As a result, the children were sent to wealthy families where being poor wasn't a problem. However, they did have to work for that. This connects to our juvenile system today because they were sent there as a punishment for their actions. As if today, juveniles are sent to programs where they talk about the problems and they try to find a solution for their problems. And they see it as as a punishment, when in reality it's not really a punishment. Child savers were females in the 1800s who fought for the rights of children. They believed they should be treated differently in a manner where it helped them. After a while, the states agreed that children should be treated differently. That's when the first juvenile court opened in 1899 in Chicago, who later on influenced other states to open one as well, except 2 states didn't agree with it. Juvenile crime today can be based on many factors. Based on the reading, they believe that it is based on poor parenting, traumatic events, experiences in their lives, both neighborhoods and school-wise. A few chapters back, we were able to learn about the different types of theories that can cause crime. Juveniles can mainly be influenced by the social learning theory, meaning if their friends do it, why not them also? In figure 15:1, you are able to analyze that the highest point was in 1994. The arrest rate is the number of arrests per 100,000 people. It decreased for a whole decade, and in 2004 to 2006, it slightly increased for both females and males. Then, questions to have in mind are, what caused these numbers to decrease and suddenly increase? Well, it's quite easy and complicated to answer the question, mainly because just like adult crime, many crimes aren't reported at all, which can affect the statistics for juvenile crime. Many police departments don't provide the right information to get a confirmed statistical result. Our modern court system has changed throughout the years. This lesson came down to the question, if a 14-year-old is convicted of attempted murder as an adult, why have a juvenile system in the first place? What's the difference? Well, there are a lot of characteristics that separates them one from the other, mainly the age ranging and what they mostly focus on. The juvenile system mostly focuses on ways they can help the child from their problems. It's more of a rehabilitation rather than a punishment, whereas adult treatments takes more of accountability. They are both rehabilitation and punishment. In our modern court system, there are waivers that allow different transfers and acts. They all provide different outcomes and options. Their minimum age waivers are their age range for juvenile justice. Each state has different ages, and their minimum age range keeps lowering as time passes by. The process of juvenile offenders can be slightly similar compared to an adult case. However, they tend to use different terminology to avoid stigma associated with adult convictions. Each state has different regulations and different rules. The process of a juvenile offender is treated based on the rules of the state. When a case of a child falls under a police officer, they sometimes take the child to juvenile hall. They can also be taken to jail under certain circumstances. The process of intake is mainly to decide whether the child is going to be released or put under investigation, which later on they have to go to court and present themselves. If the child is put under investigation, the diversion program rehabilitates children to provide more effective resources. When the decision is made to take the juvenile to court, preventative detention makes sure that the juvenile is present in court and decreases the chances of them committing something wrong, meaning a crime. If the juvenile pleads guilty or not, the adjudication hearing, which is a judge hearing, later on decides if the juvenile is whether guilty or not. If the juvenile is found guilty, they are considered as adjudicated delinquents. After the case has been prosecuted or dismissed, their case can be either sealed or expunged. If it's sealed, people will be denied access to it, and the juvenile offender has a privilege to say that they have no criminal record. On the other hand, if it's expunged, the case can be fully erased or only one court has access to it.